Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. We have an EnergyWeb video for you guys today, EWT on the exchange. This is obviously one of the top projects within the energy sector, utilizing blockchain DLT technology and some fantastic integrations with IoT, the Internet of Things, AI algorithm as well, and some very interesting developments in the DER aspects of energy as well. So guys, we've got a couple of things to go through on this video. Before we do so, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Welcome to the channel. And if you are also able to please press that like button, it'd be massively appreciated. Let's go into this one, guys. Very interesting. So there's obviously a number of really exciting blockchain related projects out there at the moment. We talk about Power Ledger as a prime example of that, in addition to the EnergyWeb videos that we do. There's a few others on here. Grid Singularity is very interesting for sure. LO3 Energy, Grid Plus. I mean, the list is massive here. So I do definitely recommend having a look at these other ones as well. I will do an updated kind of like top 5, if you like, just based on my opinions and thought process and experience around the blockchain interactions within the energy sector. Which will pretty much cover a few of these that are in this list already. But yes, of course, loads of things going on around the world right now, especially with the ESG narratives going pretty much company-wide across the world at the moment. And the 2030 targets towards the energy sustainability, green energy in particular. Of course, this is one of the big things about blockchain in general. Its ability to process and reduce resource, reduce the ability of friction within costs and things like that. Certainly the transparency side is absolutely massive when we look at how we can try and avoid in the near future the standard rates, if you like, of the energy sector coming onto consumers, where we're paying extremely high bills. So there's a multitude of areas that are really advancing and improving and evolving in this short space of time in the energy remit. So keep an eye out for that video. There's loads of really interesting projects and technology partners out there for sure. And we did cover in the last Power Ledger interview actually with Dr. Gemma over there. We were talking about, in addition to all the great things that are going on, this interaction that's going on at the moment through UK parliamentary aspects of the energy bill. We're not talking about the energy bills we get through the post. There's actually an energy bill going through Parliament right now. And of course, a big part of that is AI, IoT, blockchain interaction as well. So things are definitely moving in the right direction for this aspect of it. But one of the most recent partnerships with EnergyWeb was quite interesting. They've already got one with Vodafone for a similar aspect to this, but of course, different regions, different countries, they want different partners. So Deutsche Telekom, if you remember a video a while back that we did, joined forces with the EnergyWeb Foundation, the company, to start the creation and the development of the eSim technology, where heavily being implemented in the EV cars systems at the moment, and essentially decentralizing the entire energy market as well with that kind of technology application. This is where we start talking about cybersecurity, data privacy being really big, powerful point, because every transaction, or certainly every point of utility, not just with the EnergyWeb token, but I'm talking about the whole infrastructure of energy, has an element of potential vulnerability in it. And that's why blockchain is so important, because of the verification, the processing, the speed at which you can do that. But also from a security aspect, it's absolutely huge as well. So as more and more machines, production of cars, energy systems, whether it be smart meters or the actual energy producers themselves, continue to evolve. Each of these is a very unique data point, and particularly interesting when it comes to building that ecosystem of the energy sector, and more importantly from the internet side of things, the IoT side of things, Internet of Things, where more and more smart readers are being integrated, all these aspects. It becomes really important to really encourage and integrate more and more networking or telecoms partners, particularly like here we've got with Deutsche Telekom. So very interesting to see that, and that kind of goes into these kind of philosophy stories here about market development and the value of which these markets are in, or these sectors are in, and how that defines our decisions when we're looking to try and purchase or accumulate certain tokens that are related to the energy sector. For those that don't know what DERs are, we can very much go into a bit of detail around that very quickly. But in a nutshell, guys, what are distributed energy resources, i.e. DERs, and how do they work? Very top line, distributed energy resources, or DERs, are small-scale electricity supply or demand resources that are interconnected to the electric grid. They are power generation resources and are usually located close to load centers and can be used individually or in aggregate to provide value to the grid. So as we talk about that peer-to-peer model increasingly becoming more adopted, the awareness of it is building significantly as well. What we mean by this is the ability for you and I to essentially sell our energy credits to others. And what you're going to see over the next sort of 5-10 years, massive development going on at the moment already, as case studies prove, is these like new apartment blocks going up. They have their own battery within them, and obviously everyone within that apartment block is using that battery for the energy consumption, but also at the same time it's got like solar panels, maybe like wind farms connected to it nearby, and other sources of energy creation. Feeding into that, anything that's not used, people can basically become a prosumer rather than consumer and be able to sell those credits, if you like, for a better word, back into the system and to other people. And that could even be people around the world. But what it's going to start doing is really building an ethos of a better economy in the energy sector and being more sustainable, not just nationally and internationally, but also on a regional and a localized level as well. So as it mentions a bit more information around here, where virtual distributed energy resources are coming into the equation as well. This is heavily related to all of the aspects of communication. What we mean by this is the IoT spectrum, the blockchain, the AI, all talking simultaneously together. We talked about it so many times on this channel. There's a few cool videos that I'll leave at the end of this one to explain it in a lot more detail for those that want to learn more or perhaps have a misunderstanding or don't understand enough of it. It's a really cool subject, really cool topic. But this is really interesting. The utility communications market is projected to be worth $37 billion by 2032, growing in a compounded annual growth rate of 5.7 from the year 2023 to 2032. That's quite a significant amount in terms of valuation there. But again, this is talking about DERs, it's talking about all the incorporations of the communication frameworks, the infrastructures coming together. And it's really exciting to see these levels of numbers in terms of monetary value. And this is the other really interesting thing, guys, because the likes of EnergyWeb, for example, are really focusing on building the infrastructures, the smart contract abilities, blockchain ability in general, to accommodate all these simultaneous factors. Every single movement of a carbon credit, the production of it, the passing of it from one entity to another, all the way around the grid, being interlaced with our smart meters, our electric stations that are getting built left, right and center these days, or electric vehicles at home, you name it. Every single piece of that puzzle is a transaction. And that's when the comments of transactions per second become a really important factor when we're talking about a blockchain or a chain's ability to handle sustainably and scalably the massive amount of network capacity that's needed and the amount of usage that's going to be used in this area as well. So just taking these numbers as an example, when we're looking at buying tokens or accumulating tokens of a project, we obviously want to understand what's the utility of the token, which will potentially enhance the price of that token as well. So in EWT's specific phase of being able to use that, not just for staking purposes, but actually create on the infrastructure itself, which is very important when we're talking about the likes of the European Commission heavily integrating the likes of EnergyWeb. We talk about other projects like IoT, for example, all heavily interlaced. So this here, the Internet of Things energy market. So Internet of Things in the energy market, as I just said, like smart meters, all these components and things being able to be introduced to our systems very soon. And we've got all the aspects of energy you can possibly think of. So this market value is absolutely gigantic growth pattern here for the next 5 to 10 years. So the valuation in 2021, $40.35 billion, actually huge already, expected to hit $99.6 billion by 2030. So compound growth rate, or CAGR, of 11.8% from 2022 to 2030. Now, that doesn't mean that our assets of EWT are going up 11%. They'll go a lot more higher than that, in my opinion. We'll go into the chart in a second where we think the price points will get to in the big cycle in the coming years. But more importantly, it's the factor of getting involved or holding project tokens like EnergyWeb, Power Ledger, and some of the others that we've mentioned in the past as well. Understanding what they're doing, but more importantly, understanding what market they're in, and then understanding the definition of that market in terms of the size, the value opportunity, the growth opportunity, like you would with any other stock market. Is exactly the same in this space. So I just mentioned about the utility of the token itself, but also we've also got to expand on that a bit more and look at the actual growth patterns, the growth opportunities in the market and sector itself. It's absolutely staggering numbers there in terms of the valuation side of things. It mentions here the largest market at the moment being North America, fastest growing market, Asia Pacific, kind of understandable really, but it's covering so many aspects here and so many technology applications within one remit. So this is why always result the circle back to blockchain itself, the ability to organize transparently, verify, process the finality of a transaction within milliseconds rather than days or hours, whatever it might be, can start having an open aspect, an open market aspect for everyone. So we can go on their systems or see onto the grids and go, hang on a minute, the prices we're getting are too high. We would hopefully have that eradicated at the beginning stages anyway of the whole supply chain mechanism of the energy sector. But as users of energy, we will then hopefully have reduced bills because everything will become a hell of a lot more efficient. The amount of energy wastage is phenomenal. All these power plants and everything producing energy, and most of the time it actually gets wasted, or there's leaks or whatever it might be. So all of this can stop. It can be done on AI algorithm based on proper supply and demand, but also no more fluctuation of prices because we can see the real time aspects. And if we have excess energy from ourselves as residents and consumers, we can become prosumers, put that back onto the grid, get paid for it as well, which is great. But not for me to go, oh, someone needs energy, I'm going to up the price 10, 50 times like the energy companies do at the moment. We can actually be more realistic with it. The main thing is you get some money back that you can contribute to other bills or this, that, and the other. And it's really fascinating to see that development of it from the peer-to-peer side of it, but also from a sustainability perspective, looping back around to the Agenda 30 programs, the World Economic Forum programs, the 2030 goals and targets. That's where it becomes really definitive. So you've got yourselves, guys, a nice little story here. You've got the ability to become more economic, more sustainable, achieve targets from an economical perspective and government targets, legislation, etc. Targets that have been put in by the World Economic Forum, UN, NATO, etc. across the board. But you've also got the opportunity for equality to potentially make people who have not had access to energy before or found it hard to do so, who have maybe even been unbankable, or the ability to have a proper energy system related to their residents for whatever reason across the globe, can now be fully opened up. And that whole sharing capability is massive. I was reading somewhere the other month about processors on our PCs, on laptops. We can share that excess processing capability with other people around the world. It's quite crazy to think about in that way, in the unit factor, but it's really exciting fourth industrial revolution stuff here, guys, and the energy sector is no different. But back to that Deutsche Telekom partnership, of course, Core is another big partner of the EnergyWeb system or the EnergyWeb Foundation. eSIM based cards, not just for identity aspects, so this is a huge area, digital identities, but also that aspect of cybersecurity, the vulnerability aspect that we just mentioned as well. All of these really important things in the IoT sphere, the communication sphere linked up with EnergyWeb becomes a really definitive story. So it just backs that up of how important that is. And of course, in Europe right now, the European Data Act, is very much in proposal stages still and coming to fruition. There's huge areas in this documentation about smart contracts, security, privacy, being able to shut certain things off at certain points in time or along that chain. So there's lots of things to be done, but the reason I brought this up is because when we look at things like the eSIMs, the core partnership, the Deutsche Telekom partnership, in relation to cybersecurity, building security, privacy, data, digital identity, all these things with AI integration as well, IoT, blockchain, it all connects with each other, guys. This is why it's such an important time. While these markets are low, and again, it's not financial advice, of course, there's a great opportunity for accumulation, but more importantly, it's a great opportunity when we've got some more time than ever before to really assess and analyze not just the markets, but what the sectors are, what's the valuation here, so you can make proper conclusions around the things that you're holding in your portfolio. I'm hoping that most of this meme stuff disappears over the next couple of years and we get the proper utility tokens up and running that have been fairly stale, even though in the bull cycles they had great momentums. I feel like the next few years are going to be really showcasing the capability and the magnitude of valuations in these price points in the chart. So on that topic, guys, we can look at the energy price or the EWT price right now, floating around $2.27, very much nearly matching back in the 2022 prices. We obviously had some upscaling in various different areas of the price point of EWT in that period of time to now. But my point being is that if we look back in time for one of the old previous all-time highs at $23, there's significant opportunity for gains on our return on investment in just a short space of time in these coming years. So if I just take it roughly from the current point now, I think I've just about done it, 227 or so, all the way up to that point, we're talking about a significant 900% increase. Now, I anticipate personally in this next bull run for us to hit between $70 and $100. And if that is the case, that is even more greater gain, obviously, from its current price point. So if we go all the way up to this, let's say this fib level, which is matched up with two different data points of fib levels based on matchups on some short-term and long-term range price points, we see 3,900-ish% increase to up to those levels. And whether it's in this next run in the next couple of years or by 2030, that's still a significant return. And a lot of people get put off by it being $2 compared to like some of the 1 cent price points and things like this. But you've got to understand the magnitude of this project, who's building on it, who's using the ecosystem, the integration partners within parliamentary level. European Commission is one that we mentioned previously. It's absolutely staggering. We've also mentioned the energy sector in general. So I think what you're going to get is mass adoption anyway in the crypto markets. You're going to get mass awareness of the crypto markets in the next bull run, more so than ever before. But then more importantly, between 2025 and 2030 is significant utilization of real world assets, but also the utilization and switch-ons of systems like these that EnergyWeb have been building. That's why I believe it will get between that $70 and $100 mark, not just because of market trend and just people jumping in, buying stuff, selling stuff, shilling, whatever. The utilization will kick in. And beyond that, it can go pretty much as high as it really wants to. Some would argue it could get up to $200. The fact of the matter is it's a great opportunity for accumulation right now in the boring markets, the winter markets. But there's an opportunity for staking as well. We will do an EnergyWeb staking video in the next 2 days. I will put that live as soon as possible for those that want to get involved with that. The green pool is still active. The golden one is still not coming to fruition, but the returns are still pretty decent. And it's a good opportunity in these bear markets to obtain more EWT, of course. Each one that you're producing at this current point in time is roughly around $2 worth. So it's pretty good passive income in that instance. But certainly for the long run, to have more accumulation of EWT running by itself, which is fantastic. But back to current processes and areas of interest. This price point is very interesting. As I said, it matches back here. Yes, we could still dip down lower. I still have buy orders around 160 just in case. But the stability here is really interesting. It's always been quite a level-headed project, EnergyWeb. That just shows you how much volume and holders there are of EWT token and how much people are waiting for these coming years. And it's a great accumulation of point because every time it comes down to these areas, it's always stabilizing and bringing itself up just slightly. But there hasn't been huge fluctuations in the price. I mean, the last arguable one was back in February, where we were coming up from those 270 marks all the way up to sort of around $5. In some cases, slightly higher at $5.50 last October. Beyond that, it's at a price point that is very much achievable, in my opinion, and one that people shouldn't just keep matching price points with the lower ones. They should understand what this is and the options of potential gains in the future. At the end of the day, for me, it's about the percentage gains. I don't care about the price points themselves, or if I'm holding a whole one or half of one or a quarter one. It's about the gains mentality. So we just mentioned about that $100 mark, even up to its previous all-time high, is quite significant in an uprise of price point. 900%. You can't really argue with that kind of return on investment, right? So they're the aims, they're the targets. For now, right now, buying perspectives, it's 43 on the 14-day RSI at the bottom left here, 43 on the 28-day. I'm not angry about accumulating at those areas at all. I will personally be waiting a couple more days before I DCN. I'd like to see those come around more nearer to the 40 mark, just for a bit more conclusion that we are remitting or removing as much risk as possible for it to be coming down any lower. And of course, there's more high opportunity. If you're a day trader, that's the great thing for sure. I'm a long time of EWT. I'm not selling until we get to those dizzy heights again. Most, if not all of mine, are in staking right now, just holding on. But what I do like to appreciate is accumulating at the lowest areas possible as much as I can. And on the performance side, on the right-hand side here, we can clearly see everything's still in negative. So in that mindset, again, kind of confirming that point that, yes, it's a bit boring, but these are the best times to be buying, in my opinion, because come a year's time, I guarantee it, those will be in green and the numbers will be a lot higher as we enter that cycle, probably around 2025, as a lot of the systems will be getting turned on. And that's going to be a really exciting time for us as holders and investors to take advantage of the areas now, rather than that whole FOMO experience that I've done many times in the past, I can assure you. But if you're new to crypto or thinking about it, not financial advice, but just my opinion based on experience, these are the best times. But just remember that it can always come down a bit lower anyway. That's why DCAing, dollar cost averaging, is a really good strategy to remove as much risk as possible and gain more upside than possible as well. So guys, that's a bit of a wrap up of EnergyWeb. Keeping the momentum going, the narratives around this, I think it's a top project. Hopefully that's a bit more information as some other reasons why to get involved with it, and certainly from that market valuation. The integration of other systems and frameworks is really important for everything to work and the way that the world is going to work over these coming years and decades. EnergyWeb is going to be one of the forefronting partners in technological integrations, that's for sure. So guys, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you in the next EnergyWeb video very, very soon. Bye-bye.